Hello, BookTube. This is Juan from Just One Reader. It is actually Christmas Eve right now, but I don't care. This is more important than Christmas Eve. Talking about this book, celebrating this book, recommending this book to you all watching is more important to me than celebrating Christmas Eve because, okay, this book, The Running Grave is book 7 in the Cormoran Strike series, which is a series that J.K. Rowling has been writing for quite some years now under the name of Robert Galbraith. So The Running Grave is book number 7. This book was so incredible. This is not really a review, as you can tell from this reaction. This is more of an emotional video, an emotional rant in a good, positive way. Like, this is just like a rave video talking about why I don't think I had read, I don't think I'd read anything quite like this all year. Like, there are some books, this year I've read a couple of murder mysteries that have given me similar experiences, but not quite like this one, because this one is not really a murder mystery or a whodunit necessarily. This is more like a classical, suspenseful, long, very long thriller. And it's book 7 in the series, and let me tell you something. The Cormoran Strike series by J.K. Rowling, or Robert Galbraith, is a series that I've always felt kind of mixed about. There are some books in the series that I have really loved, some of them that I've just liked well enough, and some of them I have kind of had a lot of problems with, especially books 5 and 6 particularly. I didn't really enjoy book 5. Book 1 was amazing. I really, really loved it. It was much tighter, shorter, more classical in its structure and the plot and everything. I just really loved book 1. Book 2 I liked. Book 3 I thought was kind of a mess, but it had some really interesting dark things in it that I loved. Book 4 I loved, but I also started to feel like it was getting a little complicated in terms of, J.K. Rowling can really get tangled up in these really intricate and overly complicated plots. But I still really enjoyed that book, number 4. Then book 5 was so overwritten and long. It was like 1,000 pages long. Which this one is also almost 1,000 pages long, but we'll get to that to this one in a minute. Book 5 was overly long, overly overblown. It was just overblown in every way. It did not need to be that long, and even though some bits of the story were amazing, I just found it very, very poorly edited. And then book 6. Book 6, which I just read last month, back in November. And book 6 I didn't really like. It was the worst one in the series. It was so bad, in fact, that I almost questioned if I should continue with the series, which now that I've read this jewel, I'm thinking, man, if I had stopped after book 6, the train wreck that was book 6, I would have missed on this great, great read. Book 6, which was The Ink Black Heart, was such a mess. I didn't like the mystery. I didn't really like the characters that were featured in that book. I didn't like the way that it was written. It's a book that deals with cyber investigation, and so there's a lot of you have to read chunks and chunks of cyber conversations and Twitter conversations and threads and social media posts, and I was over that so quickly. I didn't really like book 6. And it was the longest in the series thus far at that point, I believe. So I really didn't think that the series could get any better after that. And then I started seeing that everyone was really, really raving about book 7, The Running Grave, which was just published just now. It was like, it's fresh out of the oven. It was published. When was it published? I should know about this. Well, it doesn't say here, but it was published like a couple of months ago, max. So, this book, I just want to recommend that you pick up this book, this series. I hope that you can relate to me, identify with me to a certain extent if you have felt kind of lukewarm about this series, just like I have, but you still have some hope for J.K. Rowling's writing. You should really stick to it, because this installment, The Running Grave, is by far the best one. This is the best book in the series. It is one of my favorite books by J.K. Rowling, which is saying a lot. And look, I should tell you right away, I pretty much worship J.K. Rowling. I have a shrine right there. That's like a shrine. That's just like that's a shrine for J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter specifically. I just love J.K. Rowling. I've always resonated with her. I feel like she pretty much saved my life when I was growing up. She really gave me something to hold on to, and I had a very singular childhood. And had it not been for J.K. Rowling and her works, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know who I would be. I don't know. And I don't mean to sound like really dramatic or melodramatic or like a victim or anything like that, because that's not the case. But what I want to say is what J.K. Rowling has given me is enough to just really, really, really adore her and what she represents for me personally. I know that a lot of people have kind of turned on her or decided to, have a different opinion, and I completely value that, but I could not disagree with that more. I just adore J.K. Rowling. I am completely biased. I love her and everything that she's given me, and the way that she writes is super special to me. So I have read everything that she's published at this point. Most of which I have loved or really enjoyed at least certain elements of her writing. For example, I love The Casual Vacancy, even though it has some flaws. I really, really applaud what she did with that book. And then she has a few... I'm not talking about Harry Potter, of course, because, again, I have a shrine dedicated to Harry Potter. So you know where I stand. I think Harry Potter is like 85% of my identity, even though I am a grown-up man. So, after Harry Potter, The Casual Vacancy, and then she wrote a few middle-grade books, The Ichabod, which I love The Ichabod, and then The Christmas Pig, which I was not like a huge fan of, but I still really enjoyed it, even though I felt very old to be reading that book. Then she also has a nonfiction book, which is a speech that she gave, which is Very Good Lives. I really, really love that. And then she has the Cormoran Strike series, which, like I said, I've been sort of lukewarm about. I really like the characters. I really like the ideas. I don't love the execution, especially books 5 and 6, I think, and 4 show a severe, atrocious lack of editing, and just her ideas, I think, are sometimes way too complicated. And anyway, this video is not about the series as a whole. It's about The Running Grave, and this video is already way too long, so I'm not going to tell you what the book is about, except I will say that it's about a cult, a religious cult, which sort of has the flavor and the feel of Scientology, Mormonism, kind of a very weird humanitarian, secular, but also incredibly dangerous vibe. I I love this book to death. I am giving it 4 stars, mind you, not 5 stars, because I think there are some flaws, the usual flaws. Like, this shows all the flaws that she's shown in her previous books in this series. A lack of editing. The book is way longer than it should be. And don't get me wrong, this book is 945 pages long, and I didn't want it to end. I wanted to just keep reading and reading and reading and reading. I was devouring this book. It was so good. But I can be an objective reader. Even if it comes to J.K. Rowling, I swear I can be objective, and objectively, reasonably, I can tell you this book could have lost like at least 100 pages, if not more. And it would have been tighter. It would have been cleaner, leaner. That doesn't mean to say that I felt like the book was dragging or that it was like overstaying its welcome. I wanted more. I wanted more in terms of character scenes with Cormoran and Robin specifically. But I'm not going to go into the intricacies of the plot and the like little details and nuances and minutia of the story. All I'm going to say is that thematically, I loved this book far and above all of the other books in the series. I think this is a standout. It's by far the best one. It's about a cult. I personally have always found religion to be incredibly terrifying. Fun fact that I can tell you about my life without revealing too much is that I grew up not in a cult, but in a very religious environment. Legionaries of Christ. I attended one of their schools here in Mexico, and I was always kind of terrified of religion. Even when I was there, I studied my entire education at Legionaries of Christ school, which is pretty much a cult. It's, even though it's a Catholic branch, it kind of is, in my opinion, very culty and very dangerous, honestly. And if you read this book, you will see why, because I felt very identified with the cult aspects of the book, really resonated with me and with my upbringing and with how terrifying religion and like rigid, strict belief systems can be and what they can do to individuals. And, you know, personally, just really, really personally, completely talking from my experience, I've always found religion to be the most horrifying thing. Like, you know, I never get scared by anything. Like, in books, in movies, in TV shows, nothing scares me except aliens and, well, dinosaurs and religion. But really, religion is the most horrifying. It's the scariest thing or topic, you know, for me, because it feels very close to home and, you know, triggering, which is a word that I don't like. I don't like people who feel triggered by stuff. I mean, I can control my emotions. I don't feel triggered by things. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, religion is really scary to me. And just reading a 945-page book about a cult and what they do, and it was horrifying. This is the most horrifying book I have read this year, and it's not even a horror book. It is a thriller. It's, you know, in this particular book, Robin from the Robin and Strike agency, Robin has to go undercover and become a member of this cult, which is the Universal Humanitarian Church, or the UHC. She has to go undercover and go there to that kind of secluded, isolated headquarters or like premises. It's like a farm, and the people that she meets there, the structure that she encounters, and the horrors that lie within that place are just spectacularly well depicted. I was terrified reading this book. Like, this book gave me chills for real. I was reading this book at midnight and well over past midnight, completely in the dark in my house, and I was fucking terrified. I was like paranoid, and just like, like when I watched the Blair Witch Project movie, that was it. I was completely paranoid. I loved that experience that this book gave me. At the same time, this is one of the funniest books that I've read all year. I was chuckling and just laughing out loud. I was giggling. I was just laughing out loud with this book because there are some scenes, some dialogue in this book, particularly with Strike and Robin, but really Strike, that I just found hilarious. I'd never laughed so hard or been so afraid of a Cormoran Strike book. Kudos for J.K. Rowling. You really, really, really wrote the hell out of this story. This was an amazing book. It was expertly told, like the storytelling chops that this woman has. Oh my God, she's amazing. You can like her, you can not like her, you can agree with her or disagree with her, but she can write. She's an amazing author. Still, I can see the flaws, like I said, objectively. I can see the flaws. This book could have been and should have been edited way down, like it could have. There are some things about the plot towards the ending where I felt like it was overly complicated. Again, like there was a ton of characters, and sometimes I forgot who was who, and there's just a huge cast of characters and a lot of information and a lot of material, and it's a long book, and so it's very easy for me to get confused. It's like, it's a lot, and everything is connected, and everything is important, and everything sort of plays a part in the mystery at the end. And so when you read the revelation at the end, it's kind of hard to follow, like, the resolution, because it's just such a complicated, intricate, complex puzzle that, at least me personally, I felt it was kind of complicated, but still very satisfying. And I don't think you have to like really, really, really learn by heart everything in this book. I think you can just go along, and eventually it will make sense by itself and be satisfying. But yeah, I just really, really love this book. The writing was great. The dialogue. This is the J.K. Rowling great dialogue that I love. Something that I love particularly about the Harry Potter books is the dialogue. The way that the main characters, but also the supporting characters, the way that they have of very individually speaking, and the mannerisms and the little quirks that they have, that's something that I love in the Harry Potter books. And in the Cormoran Strike series, I hadn't really seen that up to this point. Here, especially the conversations between Strike and Robin, oh my God, those scenes are golden. They were hilarious and also really, really heartfelt. The character of Strike is growing on me so much more. I've always loved Robin, and I've always thought Strike is more interesting than he is like lifelike. And in this book, that really changed. I really, really thought Strike became a real character for me, and I love him now. His voice is a little reminiscent of Ron Weasley and the Fred and George, the Weasley twins, in a way, and Sirius Black. So I just love that. I love those voices, very snarky, very grumpy, but incredibly heartfelt and loving and lovable. And he's a character that I completely love now. And of course, Robin is the best. Robin as a character, she really shines in this book. This is really her book, her moment, her time to shine. This book has some amazing villains, some great characters. There's a lot of characters, and they're mostly they are really, really, really great. The ones that you love, you love. The ones you should hate, you absolutely fucking hate. And they are very, very frightening, like I said. So the writing, the characters, the dialogue, it was scary, it was funny. It's, I think, one of the best examples that I have read recently in terms of commercial fiction. It's a great example of what I look forward when it comes to commercial fiction in the thriller category. So this book is a 4.5 stars book for me. I think you will see it in my best of the year list, which I will be posting next week. And if you have read this series or this book, let me know what you think. I really, really cannot urge you more to pick up this book. This video is probably way too long by now, and I don't know if anyone is still watching, but The Running Grave by J.K. Rowling. Thank you, Joe Rowling. You've done it again. You have saved me time and time again. You are one of my favorites for a reason, and even though you kind of were starting to let me down with the previous installments in the series, you made it up. You made up for it in spades with this book. The Running Grave is wonderful. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching. I am Juan from Just One Reader. Merry Christmas, and I will see you on the next video.